All right, so you've given us quite the stack of reports on Avanti Feeds Ltd.
Yeah.
We're talking financials market trends,
Yeah.
even some firsthand accounts from farmers.
hmm
You want the key insights on this company and the future of the shrimp feed industry in India.
It's an interesting choice, Avanti Feeds.
What
They're
is?
really at the heart of a rapidly growing industry.
Yeah.
As we dig into these sources, the connections to global trends are going to become really apparent.
Okay, so let's dive in.
Yeah.
Avanti Feeds Limited, for anyone who hasn't memorized the annual report already,
Right.
is an aquaculture company specializing in shrimp feed and processing.
Okay.
They're based in India, but their impact reaches far beyond, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're talking about a company with a deep history,
Mm.
founded in 1933 by Sri Alluri Venkateswara Rao.
Wow.
What I find compelling is that even today, they emphasize staying true to his vision.
Okay.
Innovation, continuous improvement, and prosperity for everyone involved.
That's a long time to stay true to a founding vision. I mean, 1933, that's before commercial shrimp farming even took off.
Yeah.
They must have adapted quite a bit over the decades.
Adaptability is key in any industry,
Right.
especially one as dynamic as aquaculture.
Yeah.
But Avanti seems to have woven that adaptability into their core philosophy.
Okay.
It's evident in their business structure, for example.
Let's break down that structure.
Okay.
They have two main divisions, feed and processing.
Right.
Makes sense. You need the feed to produce the shrimp.
hmm
But it goes deeper than that, doesn't it?
It does.
Okay.
Avanti's feed division ensures their processing division has a consistent supply of high-quality shrimp.
Okay.
It's a smart way to manage their supply chain and ensure quality control.
And it seems like this structure is paying off.
Yeah.
I mean, they've reached a production of 5.32 lakh metric tons of feed.
Wow.
That's a mind-boggling amount.
It certainly speaks to their scale and efficiency.
Yeah.
The feed division is clearly a powerhouse for Avanti
Huh.
and a major contributor to their overall revenue.
But it's not just about producing massive quantities, right?
Mhm.
Quality matters, especially when you're talking about the food we eat.
Yeah.
What are we seeing in terms of Avanti's commitment to quality?
They've achieved certifications like BAP Best Aquaculture Practices
Okay.
and HACCP Hazard Analysis and Critical Control Points.
Wow.
These are internationally recognized standards.
Oh, okay.
So it indicates that they're meeting stringent quality and safety criteria.
So these certifications aren't just for show.
No, not at all.
They have a real impact on how Avanti operates and the trust they build with consumers and partners.
Exactly.
Right.
Buyers, especially in discerning markets like the EU, look for these certifications as
Yeah.
a sign of reliability and responsible practices.
Speaking of the EU, we know Avanti is a major exporter of shrimp products.
Yeah.
What's the picture like on that front? Are they navigating those tricky international regulations successfully?
They're clearly committed to maintaining those export channels.
Okay.
Meeting international regulations can be complex,
Yeah.
with each region having its own standards.
Right.
But Avanti seems to be staying ahead of the curve
Okay.
based on their export performance.
I see a lot of figures about foreign exchange earnings.
Mm-hmm.
It seems exporting is a significant part of their business,
It is.
but navigating those regulations probably adds a layer of complexity.
Of course, compliance costs money and requires meticulous attention to detail.
Yeah.
But from what I'm gathering, Avanti views it as an investment
Okay.
in maintaining their international reputation and market access.
Okay. We've talked about quality. We've talked about exports.
Right.
But let's get down to brass tacks.
Yeah,
How profitable is Avanti?
right.
What are their financials telling us?
Profitability is always a complex picture.
Mm-hmm.
We can see Avanti's revenue is impressive,
Right.
but we need to look deeper into their financial ratios to get a sense of their overall financial health.
All right. You're the expert.
Sure.
What stands out when you dig into those numbers?
Well, one of the first things that jumps out is the impact of raw material costs.
Okay.
Fluctuations in the prices of soybean and fish meal have a significant impact on their margins.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Those are key ingredients in shrimp feed,
Right.
and those commodity markets can be volatile.
Absolutely.
Right.
Avanti is actively trying to mitigate this risk
Okay.
through strategic sourcing and innovative feed formulations
Mm-hmm.
that use those ingredients more efficiently.
So they're trying to outsmart the market, so to speak.
In a way, yeah.
But even with that, raw material costs must be a major factor in their profitability.
Certainly. We need to look at their return on investment and other key financial ratios
Okay.
to understand how they're managing this challenge and maintaining healthy margins.
And I'm seeing something here about capacity utilization.
Okay.
What role does that play in all of this?
Capacity utilization refers to how efficiently Avanti is using its existing production facilities. If they're operating at full capacity, they're maximizing output and potentially squeezing more profit from their current infrastructure.
But I imagine there's a limit to how much they can produce with their existing facilities.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's where their plans for expansion come in.
Okay.
They're building a new shrimp processing plant in Krishnapuram,
Okay.
which will significantly increase their capacity.
So they're not just trying to do more with what they have.
Right.
They're actively investing in growth.
They are.
That's a sign of confidence in the market.
It suggests they see a strong future for shrimp and are positioning themselves to capitalize on that growth.
But expanding operations brings its own set of challenges.
It does.
I'm thinking about regulations, both domestic and international.
Right.
How is Avanti navigating those complexities?
They're very aware of the regulatory landscape.
Okay.
They've already obtained numerous certifications, and they emphasize ethical practices, aligning themselves with the National Guidelines on Responsible Business Conduct, NGBRC, in India.
So they're not just checking boxes.
No, they're not.
They're weaving responsible practices into their core operations.
Absolutely.
That's got to be a major undertaking, especially as they expand.
It demonstrates a long-term commitment to sustainability and responsible growth,
Yeah.
which is becoming increasingly important for consumers and investors.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
From Avanti's history and structure to their financial performance and the complexities of regulations. What's the key takeaway so far?
Well,
What's the one thing our listeners should be thinking about as we move forward?
what's fascinating to me is how Avanti seems to be balancing these often competing forces.
Okay.
Rapid growth and responsible practices.
Right.
They're expanding aggressively,
Yeah.
but they're doing so with a clear focus on quality, sustainability, and stakeholder well-being.
Yeah.
It's an interesting tightrope walk,
Right.
and it will be fascinating to see how they continue to manage it.
All right, listener. That's the setup. We've got the foundation laid.
Yeah.
Now let's really dig into the heart of Avanti's story
Okay.
and see what lessons we can glean from their journey.
Sounds good.
We'll be back in a flash with more insights from our deep dive.
Great. It's this balancing act that really sets Avanti apart
Yeah.
in an industry that often faces criticism for its environmental impact. They're making a conscious effort to do things differently.
And it's not just about the feel-good factor.
Right.
Their sustainability initiatives, like using wind power,
Yeah,
have a tangible impact on their bottom line.
absolutely.
Yeah.
There are 4 windmills in Karnataka with a total capacity of 3.2 megawatts,
Wow.
offset a significant portion of their energy consumption,
Okay.
which translates to lower costs and reduced reliance on fossil fuels.
So it's a win-win.
Yeah,
They're reducing their environmental footprint and saving money at the same time.
exactly.
But it goes beyond wind power, doesn't it?
It does.
They've also implemented water recirculation systems.
Yes, at several of their facilities.
Okay.
This helps conserve water,
Right.
a critical resource in many regions where shrimp farming is prevalent. It's a smart move, particularly as water scarcity becomes an increasingly pressing global concern.
And let's not forget about waste management.
Right.
Aquaculture can generate quite a bit of waste. So how is Avanti addressing that?
They've implemented comprehensive waste management programs to minimize their environmental impact.
Okay.
They're not simply trying to comply with regulations.
Right.
They're going a step further to reduce their footprint.
It's clear they're making a concerted effort across multiple areas of their operations.
Yeah.
But how do these sustainability initiatives tie into their overall business strategy?
Avanti seems to view sustainability as an integral part of their success.
Okay.
It's not just a side project.
Right.
It's woven into the fabric of their operations. They even link their sustainability efforts to their corporate social responsibility initiatives.
It's a holistic approach.
It is.
They're recognizing that sustainability isn't just about the environment.
Right.
It's about building a business that's good for the planet, good for the community, and ultimately good for their bottom line.
Precisely.
Right.
And consumers are increasingly aware of this.
Yeah.
They're demanding transparency and accountability from the companies they support. Avanti's proactive approach to sustainability could be a key factor in attracting and retaining customers who share those values.
It makes me think back to those farmer testimonials we read.
Yeah,
Remember Mr. G. Totaro?
I do.
He called Avanti a game changer for his farm.
Right.
What was it about Avanti that resonated so strongly with him?
What struck me about Mr. Tataro's story was his emphasis on the support Avanti provided.
Okay.
He specifically mentioned the quality of their feed, of course,
Right.
but it was the technical guidance and training that seemed to have the most impact.
It wasn't just about buying a product.
Right.
It was about becoming part of a community.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Avanti invests in the success of their farmers, recognizing that a thriving network of farmers leads to a more stable and sustainable supply chain.
This community-based approach seems to be central to Avanti's strategy.
Yeah.
But is it enough?
Well,
The aquaculture industry is inherently volatile.
it is.
We've got disease outbreaks, fluctuating global demand, and increasing competition.
Right.
Can Avanti's community focus truly help them weather those storms?
It's a valid question.
Yeah.
The challenges are real, and there are no easy answers.
Right.
Disease outbreaks, for example, can devastate entire shrimp populations
Wow.
and cripple the industry.
Right.
It's a constant threat.
So how is Avanti approaching this risk?
Yeah.
Are they just crossing their fingers and hoping for the best?
Hoping for the best is rarely a sound business strategy.
Right.
Avanti is investing heavily in research and development,
Okay.
focusing on disease-resistant shrimp and feed formulations that boost the shrimp's immune systems.
So it's trying to get ahead of the curve.
Anticipating potential problems and developing solutions before they become full-blown crises.
Precisely.
Right. And this proactive approach extends beyond disease management.
Okay.
They're also keenly aware of the constantly shifting regulatory landscape.
Right. We touched on that earlier.
We did.
The aquaculture industry is heavily regulated,
Yeah.
and those regulations can change quickly.
They can.
It must be a constant challenge for a company like Avanti to stay compliant.
It requires a culture of agility and adaptability.
Right.
Avanti seems to understand this, constantly monitoring regulatory changes and adjusting their practices
Okay.
to ensure they remain compliant in both domestic and international markets.
So they're navigating the regulatory tightrope.
Yes.
They're investing in R&D to combat disease.
Right.
And they're fostering strong relationships with their farmers.
They are.
It sounds like they're covering all the bases.
It seems so.
But is there a potential downside to this community-centric model?
Well, one potential challenge could be maintaining consistency as they scale.
Okay.
Building a strong community takes time and effort.
Right.
Can Avanti replicate the same level of engagement and support as they expand their network of farmers?
That's a valid point.
It is.
It's one thing to foster those close relationships with a smaller group,
Right, yeah.
but as they grow, it might become more challenging to maintain that personal touch.
It's something to watch as Avanti continues to expand. They'll need to find ways to scale their community building efforts
Okay.
without losing the authenticity that seems to be resonating with their farmers.
And it's not just about managing growth within their existing network.
Right.
They're also facing increasing competition,
They are.
both from established players and new entrants to the market.
Absolutely. Competition is inevitable in any growing industry.
Yeah.
Avanti will need to find ways to differentiate themselves.
Okay.
To demonstrate that their community-based, sustainability-focused approach is more than just a marketing tactic.
So it's about walking the walk, not just talking the talk.
Precisely.
They need to prove that their model can deliver tangible results,
Yes.
both in terms of profitability and sustainability.
Exactly.
Okay, listener, we've explored the depths of Avanti's commitment to sustainability,
We have.
their unique community-based approach, and the challenges they face in a dynamic and competitive industry.
Right.
Now let's pull it all together and see what we can learn from their journey.
Okay.
We'll be back in a moment with our final thoughts and some key takeaways for you to ponder.
Sounds good.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We've been exploring the world of Avanti Feeds Ltd, a company that's swimming against the tide in many ways.
It's been an insightful journey, hasn't it?
It has.
We've seen their commitment to sustainable practices,
Right.
their focus on building a strong community,
Yeah.
and their proactive approach to managing risk in a volatile industry.
What's striking to me is that they're not just talking about these things.
Right,
They're
yeah.
actually doing them. Their investments in wind power and water recirculation are concrete examples of their commitment.
Those investments are sending a clear signal both internally and externally.
Right.
They're demonstrating to their employees their partners, and their investors that they're serious about sustainability.
And it's not just about optics.
No, it's not.
These initiatives have a real impact on their bottom line, reducing costs and mitigating risks associated with resource scarcity and environmental regulations.
That's a smart business strategy.
Yeah.
They're aligning their values with their operations.
Right.
And it seems to be paying off.
But it's not just about the environment.
Right.
They're also investing in their people, particularly their farmers.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen how those relationships go beyond transactional exchanges.
Yeah.
They're building a community of shared success.
Mr. Tatarao's testimonial really highlighted that
It did.
it wasn't just about the quality of the feed. It
Right.
was about the guidance and support that Avanti provided.
Mm-hmm.
He felt like a valued partner, not just a customer.
That's a powerful differentiator in an industry that's often characterized by competition and price pressures.
It is.
Avanti is creating a different kind of value proposition, one that's rooted in collaboration and mutual benefit.
And that model, I think, holds a lot of promise.
Right.
In a world grappling with climate change, resource scarcity, and social inequalities,
Yeah.
businesses that prioritize sustainability and community well-being are likely to be more resilient and adaptable in the long run.
But can Avanti maintain this approach as they grow and face increasing competition?
This is the big question.
It is.
It's a challenge for any company,
Mhm.
especially in a rapidly evolving industry like aquaculture.
Right.
Maintaining that personal touch, that sense of shared purpose, becomes more difficult as you scale.
And let's not forget the external pressures.
Of course.
Disease outbreaks, volatile raw material costs,
Right.
and shifting regulations can disrupt even the best laid plans.
But Avanti seems to be approaching these challenges with a combination of foresight and agility.
Mm-hmm.
They're investing in R&D, they're monitoring the regulatory landscape, and they're strengthening their relationships with stakeholders.
They're not just sitting back and waiting for things to happen.
No.
They're proactively shaping their future.
Exactly. And that's perhaps the most important takeaway from our deep dive.
Okay.
Avanti is showing that it's possible to be both ambitious and responsible, to pursue growth while prioritizing sustainability and community well-being.
So listener, as you wrap up your own deep dive into Avanti Feeds Ltd,
Yeah.
we leave you with this thought.
Okay.
In a world where business as usual is no longer sustainable, companies like Avanti are offering a glimpse of a different path,
Yeah.
a path that may lead to a more resilient, equitable, and prosperous future.
And ultimately, it's up to each of us as consumers, as investors, as citizens to decide which path we want to support.
That's all for this episode of The Deep Dive. We'll be back soon with another deep dive into a fascinating topic. Until then, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep learning.